Welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe. That's the Hall of Famer Cris Carter in the middle of a blueberry detox. This right here is Nick Wright.
Franco Harris, man, the Hall of Fame this weekend.
He told you?
He told me
What?
he's been, the last 20 years, when he turned 50, he changed his eating regimen, blueberries. So if I say something and a blueberry comes out, man, I'm consumed with blueberries.
Blue suit, too.
Okay.
Looking good.
Good morning, people.
So there's that. There's also Kyler Murray, who's
What a
making his
weird way to start the
NFL
show.
debut tonight.
Yeah, if he had eaten his
Andrew
blueberries
Luck.
when he was a kid, he'd be 6'6".
Oh, okay.
Strawberries? 5'6". Andrew Luck might be taking a step in the wrong direction, and the Dallas Cowboys might just be wasting a big opportunity. That's where we start today. It has been 12 days since the Cowboys opened training camp. Still no Ezekiel Elliott, who remains in Mexico while the team prepares for Saturday's preseason opener. Yesterday, in yet another interview, Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said the team, quote, very rarely speaks with Zeke's representatives. Cris Carter, are the Cowboys potentially wasting their Super Bowl window with the way that they're handling Zeke's contract situation?
No, I believe that the Cowboys, I believe that they're right. Like, I support the Cowboys. You have a contract. I could understand potentially if he had been out of the first round, where he didn't have the contract that he did have with the fifth-year option, where they are the highest paid. He's still one of the highest paid at his position right now, given the off-field issues. Yes, he's played well on the field, but he is one mishap from missing a whole season of football. All those things I have to calculate. I also have to calculate, say, in this next NFL window, which is 0 to 3 years. That's a real NFL window. If I make him the highest paid running back by a couple million, then it's going to be impossible for me to be able to keep the quality players that we've drafted, that we've built in-house in Dallas. So they do have a problem. And when you have just finished your third year in a 5-year deal and you've had the off-field issues, which you have to look at because of players, it's just like an injury. If he had been injured, we'd be looking at it. He has missed some time because of other things. And the next injury or mishap would cause him to miss a full season.
The way the Steelers probably factored things in with Le'Veon Bell.
I know for a fact, in talking to people in the NFL who know that the Pittsburgh Steelers were very conscious of the number of drug tests, the number of failed tests, and what was next. And when you talk about resetting the running back market, which he was trying to do before Todd Gurley, when he was doing this, Todd Gurley signed under the radar. But they knew that they couldn't afford to take that risk in Dallas. Jerry, as much as he likes players, he's a player's owner, in negotiating, he takes some hard lines. And I believe that the Cowboys, they are right not by just jumping out and paying Zeke $16 million. Having a star running back signed for the next 6 seasons, to me, that's too much of a risk for the organization to take.
And so all of that can be true, and it can also be true that if they don't get him in, they are absolutely wasting their ability to win a championship this year. I would argue without him, they can't even make the playoffs this year. What would the Falcons be this year without Julio? What would the Panthers be without Christian McCaffrey? What would the Chiefs be without Tyreek Hill? The Saints, Alvin Kamara. When you have these special offensive skill position guys, teams that have legitimate playoff or Super Bowl aspirations, they all of a sudden take 2 steps backwards, particularly when a player is so much of what you do revolves around his abilities. Cris has brought it up seemingly every day for the last month because it's such a telling stat. The Cowboys 8-0 when they have a time of possession of greater than 30 minutes. 8-0 when their defense is not on the field for 50% of the game or more. Well, the way you do that is because Zeke is grinding the clock, getting you first downs. Dak Prescott, his best ability as a quarterback has always come with advantageous defensive fronts because teams are afraid of Zeke. So while both these things can be true, the Cowboys long-term could be making a mistake, or it would be too risky to give Zeke what would essentially be 6-year contract, 2 years left plus a 4-year extension, even if only a few of those are guaranteed years. And by not doing that, if he does hold out, the 2019 Cowboys season could be over before it begins.
All that sounds good in theory. But just like anything else in life, if you're purchasing it, there is a get-out number. So what do you think Dallas should do? You think that they should reset the market with Zeke? I mean, because you presented a case as if they have to sign him. They don't have to sign him.
No. They don't have to sign him. But if they want it, if he's going to miss time, pardon me, if they don't sign him, they have to sign him to be able to compete this season.
Well, I'm not as concerned about this season.
Right.
To me, they're going to play football. This is the 100th season. You know what they're going to do next year? They're going to tee it up and play again.
First.
I'm not consumed. It's not my responsibility to be consumed with what's the Dallas Cowboys' best option this year, because football is not about this year. They just got out of salary cap hell. So now you're getting ready to commit them to go back in there? No, I disagree with that, and especially when you have 2 years left on the contract. You talked about Julio Jones. What would they be without him? Well, Julio, he's worked out a deal with Arthur Blank. He's got 2 years left, and he's done what Zeke has done 2 times. All right, Zeke's been in this league and been spectacular for 3 years. Julio has been spectacular for at least 6 of the years of his career. So he doesn't have a contract.
And he's still showing up, absolutely.
So do you believe Ezekiel Elliott that he will not show up and play a game without a new contract? Because if that's the case, and there is no Zeke, who are the Dallas Cowboys?
I believe that he's going to miss the beginning of the season. If he does not change his demands, he will miss the beginning of the season. But Dallas and Zeke, they're going to both have to come to a compromise. Zeke has to look at that team and realize the amount of resources that are available compared to what you want. And a lot of times, they don't meet each other. But there is always a get-out price. I don't care what you're buying. It could be from home goods. It could be from cars, houses. It doesn't matter. There is a number that you say, you know something? I like you, Franco. But blueberries, especially in the wintertime, they're high.
Too expensive.
Yes.
Listen, but okay, I agree with you there's a get-out price. My concern for the Cowboys is this, to continue your analogy, that what you really need, what the most important piece you now can't afford because you spent your money on luxuries and you're planning to overspend on something else. They mishandled the DeMarcus Lawrence negotiation a year ago. They could have got him cheaper. They didn't get a deal done with him. They franchise tagged him. Now they made a guy who is not one of the 3 best defensive players in football, one of the 3 highest paid defensive players in football. They are preemptively going to pay Dak Prescott as if he is a no-doubt franchise quarterback when we do not know if he's a no-doubt franchise quarterback. So that previous deal, that future deal, has now restricted.
Is Carson Wentz a franchise quarterback?
I think he absolutely has the ability to be, yes.
So
yes.
Dak winning those 32 games over 3 years, you don't believe he's a franchise quarterback?
I don't think we know it. No, I do not. I have much more faith in Carson Wentz moving forward than Dak Prescott.
No, you should have more faith in Carson Wentz, but Dak is a franchise quarterback. Now, he might not be as efficient. I don't know what your criteria for a franchise quarterback, but Dak Prescott has shown in his availability, his consistency, and the things that he does on a high enough level that he is an NFL franchise quarterback.
To me, if you are going, and maybe we have different definitions of it.
Obviously.
For me, a franchise quarterback is a guy who year in, year out, at the very least, you look at it as can be one of the 10 best quarterbacks in this league. Dak Prescott, to me, has had 1 season where he was one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football, and he's going to be paid as if he is going to be that consistently. I get why the Cowboys are going to do it.
Yeah, I think your standard is unrealistic. There's 32 teams.
Yeah.
Right now, we have at least 16 quarterbacks that throw the ball at a high level. More quality quarterbacks than we've ever. Your criteria, he's got to be in the top 10. But what about the intangibles? What about the leadership? What about if he can run? You know, because if he can run as a dual threat, what about Cam Newton? He ain't one of the top 10. He a franchise quarterback. I know you believe that.
Well, Cam Newton, he won a league MVP and went to a Super Bowl.
But he's not one of the top 10 passers.
Right now he's not, and right now you're absolutely right. And right now, if he does not get back to the level we saw close that MVP season,
but he would still be a franchise quarterback, even if he don't get back to that level.
But he wouldn't be worth the type of contract they're about to pay Dak Prescott if he doesn't get back to that level. Like he would be restricting.
They're paying backup guys $20 million.
And those teams,
my goodness,
and it's killing those teams' ability to compete.
Sam Bradford made $20 and $22 million. You think Dak is not worth $28 million?
I think that when you pay Sam Bradford that money, it kills your ability to compete. I think that but I know this is supposed to be about Zeke, not Dak. My point is, whether they should or shouldn't, they've cut out this money for Dak. They paid DeMarcus Lawrence. They want to pay Amari Cooper.
Right.
The best player on their team is the one that might be getting squeezed here. I think that's going to
This is one thing I've learned in the NFL. It pays to be a good citizen. It pays to be a leader. My numbers might not say, but you want someone to have a voice of reason in that locker room speaking to grown men? That will cost you something, because there's not a whole bunch of people walking this earth that can do that. Dak Prescott, with that star on his helmet, has commanded the attention of everyone in that locker room. And that is far more worth more than some of the things you're thinking about. You cannot be a top 10 passer, and that's the only criteria to being a franchise quarterback. Man, we would be done with football. And I'm glad that's not the criteria. But Dak is absolutely a franchise quarterback, and the intangibles make him that way.
We're going to have that conversation. Michael Irvin actually came out and had some pretty interesting
I don't agree with
comments.
Mike, but I mean, well, I don't even know what he said.
Okay, well, you will agree with him if that's your take. We'll talk about that coming up. On the other side, what should we be looking for from Kyler Murray tonight in his NFL debut? That's next on FS1. You can always check us out on the Fox Sports channel on SiriusXM. We'll be right back. We'll get to Kyler Murray and the Cardinals in just a second, but first, USA Basketball, Utah's Donovan Mitchell, your guy, starting the break, giving it up to Kemba Walker, who throws it back to Mitchell.
With so many guys asking out of Team USA this summer, for a guy like Donovan Mitchell, who the Jazz are going to need to take a real leap this year in year 3. A leadership role in this team, maybe being one of the better players on this team, could be super valuable for him.
And he's got a point guard, just like he'll have during the regular season.
More hoops now. Class of 2020 point guard R.J. Davis shaking the defender straight to the ground. Steph Curry was there. Big impressed.
Oh, okay.
That's his big impressed look.
Is this
I don't know why he got shook to the ground the day before him.
Right, by a 2021 class. Oh, but that is bad. I mean, that guy
Looked like he was getting ready to do a reverse spin on him. I need to see another camera angle in the gym. Our other camera was busy, so I couldn't see if he stepped on his foot.
Here we go. Bears camp.
Me.
David Montgomery. Tough to take down.
There's one. You got to get off me. Now, you really got to get off me. You better call your friends up.
Yeah, this is the problem in training camp, though. The reason why he looks so good like that, because the defenders are not allowed to tackle. So they
thump.
They're allowed to thump and grab, but when you can't bring your legs and bring them to the ground, it gives the offensive player, especially a running back, a huge advantage. So a lot of times the defenders get upset. They get set up and get knocked out.
Oh, okay.
Didn't know that. On to tonight's preseason action. All eyes will be on number one.
We're starting football
overall
tonight,
pick,
baby.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
The Cardinals quarterback getting ready for his NFL debut against the Chargers. If you've got the urge to throw some money around, Nick, Cardinals are favored by 2.5 points.
No,
Here's what
bad.
Kyler had to say about playing tonight.
Everybody's got, nerves to go out and play. Anxious to get out there. It's the first game. You get drafted, you go out there and play, and you don't want to do bad. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a football game. When we get out there, it's going to be just like how it always has been. And I'm looking forward to having fun.
I'm sure he'll be more amped than nervous. I mean, he's a guy. He's a competitor, and he gets the butterflies just like everybody else. But, he loves when the lights are on.
Boy, that's what he says, that he's got the butterflies like everyone else. But, man, if you speak to any of the teammates in that locker room, they say he is one of the calmest, with the easiest demeanor heading into this preseason debut tonight. See, what are you going to be looking forward to from Kyler Murray?
The one thing is, not only his teammates have expressed that, the teammate that I know the best, in Larry Fitzgerald, had some very flattering things to say about Kyler. And if you listen to Larry Fitzgerald, he's played with more quarterbacks than any other great receiver in NFL history. Very seldom does he ever talk about the quarterbacks and the quarterback's ability to run their offense and either throw the football. Larry's just not one who does something like that. He's been very, very conservative. He's played it the right way. So when Larry says something, you need to listen. This kid is special as far as his composure. Now, can they put him in a winning situation? Can they protect him? All those things are the reason why we're Josh Rosen. He had potential. But if you allow a guy to get hit early, like their chance of being successful, and Josh is not the only one. It's year after year in this league. The number one way to fail for a top quarterback pick is allow him to get hit early. My biggest issue right now is the air raid offense. It hadn't been successful. It's an offense that typically takes advantage of the hash marks in college that are a lot wider than the pro hash marks. So what they try to do is get the ball in space, typically sideways. They don't have the normal reads that a conventional NFL offense has, where I'm going to go to 1. If they take that away, I'm going to go to 2, go to 3, into my check down. Their read process is totally different. So now, in the NFL, the ball's in the middle of the field. The pursuit angles are totally different. The guys are a lot faster. Now, does this offense have the ability to be able to hold off in week number 1? Matt Patricia, who has an encyclopedia of Bill Belichick blitzes, he's going to be throwing at them. And Baltimore, one of the other top defenses in week number 2 that they're going to be throwing at them. So I talked to Kurt Warner a lot about Kyler. He's been out there watching him play. He's really excited to see him. He believes he's really special. He said he's a lot like Baker Mayfield and Patty Mahomes. Because they played some baseball, they can throw it by taking a short step. So his arm strength, he said, is amazing. His accuracy is amazing. He just wanted to see the rest of that offense. Same thing that I want to see. Most college offenses to all have failed in the NFL. Let's see what they can do in Arizona.
To build on Chris's point about being able to protect him and who they have to start the season, Matt Patricia, who you mentioned, they added Trey Flowers, a team that obviously is going to try to be a defense-first team. You mentioned Baltimore.
Mike Daniels.
Mike Daniels, who they also brought in very recently from Green Bay. Baltimore might have been the best defense in football last year. Oh, in Week 3, Carolina, the team that I think has the best front seven in the NFC. In Week 4, Seattle. And even if it's not the Legion of Boom anymore, that always is a consistently good defense. So it's going to be thrown right into the fire immediately. History is, though, on Kyler Murray's side in this regard. We talk about drafting quarterbacks being a crapshoot and how everyone's kind of guessing, and that is true in large part. It is not that historically true when it comes to one spot in the draft. First pick of the first round. If you are the number 1 pick of the draft at this position, your hit rate of becoming a Pro Bowler over the last 20-some-odd years is about 80%.
Wow.
And now, as soon as you get to the number 2 pick, it's about 1 and 2. It drops off enormously. If you have the talent to be 1-1, it is much more often than not that you have at least a period of your career where you're a very high-level player. It's rare it's Tim Couch. It's rare it's Jamarcus Russell. Even Alex Smith, who looked like a bust early, ended up having a very nice run at the end of his time in San Francisco and then in Kansas City. That's the history that's on Kyler Murray's side. The history that's against him is what Cris said, the history of this offense, or really any collegiate offense coming to the NFL, and, of course, the non-existent history of a player his size at that position being a starting quarterback in the NFL.
You talk during basketball season so much about one of the things you have an issue with Ben Simmons is when you watch him play, he's got no pregame routine. There's nothing that sets him up for success during a game. How important is it going to be? I mean, can that translate to football? How important will it be for a guy like Kyler Murray to come in right off the bat, have a routine, set himself up to succeed, and then be able to carry that on and follow that?
Well, one thing as a thrower, we have to realize he has one of the better coaches, his dad. His dad coached him. His dad played at a high level, had a chance to play professional football. And we saw what he did at Oklahoma. He's a pure thrower of the football, even though he's a great athlete. So he's got great fundamentals. He's got the things that make a quarterback, but it's the intangibles. What happens to what I call the franchise talent, as far as are they going to put the right people around them? I'm more concerned about that. I'm not concerned about his ability. I'm concerned about, will he be able to function? Will they knock the football out of him? Will they get him a chance to succeed? David Johnson becomes a huge role in doing that from the running back position. Larry Fitzgerald deciding to play another year was huge for him to be able to calm things down. So I believe that he's developed the right fundamentals. I believe that he has a great routine. He is a tremendous thrower of the football. I'm excited about seeing him because I do believe someone at that height is going to play well in the NFL, and I do believe that Kyler could be that first one because he has all the talent that you want a quarterback to have.
When you talk about franchise talent, like the institutional stability to give him a chance.
Yes.
To give himself a chance to succeed. And the way they went about this offseason, I understand it, but it doesn't necessarily address Chris's biggest concerns, a lot of people's biggest concerns, which is the offensive line. When you took the quarterback number 1 overall, obviously. In the 2nd round, you went wide receiver. In the 4th round, you went wide receiver. You didn't draft an offensive lineman until the 6th round. Now, I know they spent money in free agency on offensive linemen, but it's rare a great offensive lineman's available in free agency because teams hold on to those. So it's going to be a different offensive line than they had last year because they brought in players from other teams. But but they didn't try to, okay, we're going to take Kyler and then do what the Colts did the second time around with Luck, use our premium draft picks on offense.
People think because they don't have a book on Cliff Kingsbury in the league, that's an advantage. To me, it's a disadvantage because I don't believe Cliff, whatever he's going to do in week number 1, he can do it in the preseason. So now they're going to do something in the preseason, then they're going to try to change it up because in practice, they've been very secretive of what they're going to do, what the offense looks like. It looks like a pro offense. I know people that have been at their practice. It looks like a pro offense compared to a college offense. Let's see how they transition from the preseason to the regular season because that week number 1, when you're facing those live bullets out there, that college offense and the overall philosophy, it better be out the window.
All right, Kyler Murray making his NFL preseason debut tonight. Cardinals and Chargers. It's a late game. Nick will probably stay up for it. So will CC and so will I. Coming up,
the first quarter.
A Hall of Famer says that the criticism of Dak Prescott has gone too far. That's next. This is First Things First.
Is that Hall of Famer sitting across from me?
That's what I said in the A's.
Yeah, and now you're going to switch it up on us?
Yeah, Michael Irvin, let's go. I like the Mike with the shorter haircut. I don't like the Mike with the front.
On Saturday, it's a doubleheader on FS1. First, Bryce Harper powers the Phillies against the Giants. Then Nolan Arenado and the Rockies take on Manny Machado and the Padres. Coverage kicks off 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
Phillies better be careful. All of a sudden, Mets half game back of them for that last wild card spot.
They're still the Mets. Time now for Say What? Kirk Cousins is getting acclimated to his rookie first-round center, Garrett Bradbury, but the two might be getting a little too close for comfort. Say what?
Well, I'm going to take it back to how much he sweats again. He promises that it's not a problem in games. And it remains to be seen because his shorts today were soaked. And he says it's not a problem on game day, so the moment of truth Friday night. But apparently, you know, when they keep those domes air conditioned and you get a break on the bench and you can sit with the cooling fans, I'm hoping that really helps. So that's a big thing I'm going to take away from Friday night is how tough was it to grip the ball after he snaps it to me. If it is tough, we might be in pistol and shotgun all year, which Coach Kubiak and Kevin wouldn't like very much. So, but it's really not posterior. It's really just the whole thing. I mean, I look at his shins, and it's just like, just pour. I mean, it looks like my window after a rainstorm.
I'm going to pull a CC line. Sure, it's not a problem for. He says it's not a problem for him. Yeah, it's not a problem for him. It's a problem for the quarterback.
Well,
he doesn't care if he's sitting there sweating.
Oh, the center doesn't care, right? But
Yeah.
Cousins, it's a matter of saying. I want
Bradbury
to ask
doesn't
you
care.
this though: is it legitimate, having played in Minnesota, that because they're in a dome, because it's air conditioned, that whatever, let's call it hygiene issues the center's dealing with right now during training camp, not going to affect him during the actual games? Or is he just lying to Kirk?
Oh, yeah, he's lying to him.
he's lying.
His butt's going to be real musty. He's going to be sweating. Khalil Mack blocking the Packers. Oh, he's going to be sweating. But this is the remedy for it. You see, you got to make him wear some tights. He's got to wear some tights. Typically going to do around the thigh-high tights. But if they're really a wet butt, if they sweat a lot, then you make them put another pair of dry shorts up under them. So now you don't get as...
Like the Michael Jordan, North Carolina, shorts under the shorts thing.
You definitely have to wear shorts under the shorts. But
gotcha.
really, the only problem for Kurt is
Here we go.
It's not the front of his hand, it's the back of his hand.
Yeah.
Because the back of his
it's
hand
going up.
No, the back of his hand is up in there.
Yeah, it's up in there.
That $28 million, he went up, he got to go up in there and get it.
Get it.
You got to get up.
Yeah.
It's and that ball hits and the top hand goes up.
Oh.
So the center is not trying to keep up, he's trying to go out. So
Jenna, start reading things.
I see what's
I'm not
happening.
Gonna be
No, in, out, and up. Now
Yeah.
I understand exactly
the
where
back
that
of his hand,
sweat's
wherever
coming
you see
from.
Kirk
Where the
Cousins.
kid,
Yeah.
where the...
Okay.
The back
Now
of
we're
his
going to move
hand.
on. Yeah. All right. Time for stories to start your morning. We're getting more details about Antonio Brown's injury. Turns out
Stinky,
he's sidelined
stinky.
with frostbitten feet. This was reportedly caused by a cryotherapy session
Frostbite.
gone wrong. You know, you're supposed to wear socks in that thing. They tell you to wear socks. If you don't, that's on you, my friend. See, you ever seen or heard of something like this happening to a player before?
Oh, absolutely. There's so many guys that won't follow the rules. They believe they don't need it, or they get rushed. They try to jump in front of someone in line, don't use the right equipment. Yes, the ice bags. If you leave the ice bag on your hamstring, the back of your knee, if you leave it on there more than 20 minutes, there's a nerve that goes down that could cause you to have drop foot. Burn your skin, there's ice burn. Yes, my right hamstring, ice burn. Leaving it on there, fell asleep, burns my hamstring. For real. The left one is like a cocoa brown. The right one is chocolate. Yeah, you make mistakes like that, but he's better than that.
Listen, it's hard to kill Antonio
I'm
for this.
feeling good today.
I can tell. It's hard to kill Antonio for this because it's not like he got frostbite in his feet going on, trying to scale Mount Everest. He was trying to get better. He was trying to train.
Nick, he's been using that therapy for years.
Right, but it's an attempt at getting better.
Every other time, Nick, he got in with the socks on.
Yeah, he screwed up. But he screwed up.
He didn't screw up. It was a conscious decision.
Yeah, he made a mistake. Guy made a mistake.
We're
going to kill the guy for.
Let me set your feet
he's
on
not
fire.
practicing.
No, I'd rather not.
15th overall pick and former Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins will see his first live NFL game action tonight when Washington faces off against the Browns. See, what do you want to see out of Haskins tonight?
Man, don't make big mistakes. Don't worry about getting sacks because Cleveland is going to be coming. Cleveland got a bunch of new guys on the team. We don't talk about their defense. I believe their defense is going to try to send a message. Typically, the preseason used to be very, very vanilla. But in the last 3 to 5 years, all these coaches are trying to impress people. And we see more blitzes. We see more rare coverages now in the preseason than we ever did before. So for a rookie quarterback, it is more of a challenge than we're used to our rookie quarterbacks facing, Nick.
And listen, week 1 of the preseason, it's exciting because football's actually starting, but it's not really that interesting of football, except for teams that have a quarterback battle or just drafted a quarterback. And this team, it's both. They drafted Haskins and they have a battle because they have your guy, Case Keenum. So I'm really interested in how well he plays this preseason. We know he'll start at some point this year. Can he play well enough to where he starts week 1?
Second-year Jets quarterback Sam Darnold made waves yesterday by declining to take part in a birthday message for Tom Brady, one that other players did participate in. He said, quote, "I can't be giving him anything." See, you like the move by Sam Darnold?
Yeah, I'm sure Tom had a long list. I'm sure he wasn't waiting, holding his breath.
He wasn't like, but where's
Him and
Sam
Giselle
Darnold?
sitting there with the birthday cake at dinner. They done put the kids to bed, probably having a nice glass of wine. You think he's like, hey,
I got snubbed by Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I feel slighted. Oh, Sam, don't want to give it up to the GOAT. No, I like Sam's attitude. Tom's got enough friends. Sam needs to create some enemies. He needs to take over that division. If he needs to be the next Tom Brady for the next 7 to 10 years for the Jets. I like the attitude.
Man, you can't wish a guy a happy birthday?
No.
Why not? Just wish him happy birthday.
Because that's not my job.
Oh, great. I know it's not his job. It doesn't help the patch.
It's a little soft, man.
It's a little soft?
I don't want them guys wishing me no happy birthday. I got a lot of friends, Troy and them. Don't call me on my birthday. Don't call me.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying that if I want some birthday wishes, I don't want it coming from I don't want it.
You don't want it coming from
a bunch of guys.
From guys that you used to go against? Okay.
No.
All right.
No, if you guys happen to have some celebrity singers,
y'all are
rappers
crazy,
and
man.
stuff like that.
Celebrity singers and rappers.
Actresses that want to holler
okay.
at me. They want to make a video to your boy, I'm available.
You are out of your mind today.
On to
my
the
wife
Cowboys.
Is out of town.
Must not be watching neither.
Listen, Dak Prescott is negotiating a new contract that will reportedly make him one of the 5 highest-paid quarterbacks in the NFL. That despite the fact that a lot of fans don't view him as an elite quarterback. Hall of Famer and legendary Cowboys wide receiver Michael Irvin completely disagrees. Says it's insane sometimes when I hear the analysis on Dak Prescott, and this man has won as many games as he's won. It's like everyone's looking for a reason not to believe instead of opening their eyes for all the reasons they should believe. All right, who wants to start with this one? Nick, let me start with you. What's your reaction to what Michael Irvin has to say?
Is Michael Irvin talking to you, or is he talking to the general public?
He's talking to me and the general public, the people that are fairly evaluating Dak Prescott, which is that he has done a lot of things really well in his first 3 years in the league. Most notably, his teammates seem to love him. He's never missed a game. He has shown the ability that, whether it's a playoff game, even that playoff loss against Green Bay, where I thought he was extraordinary his rookie year, trying to mount a comeback against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, or the playoff game this year, or just over the course of his career in fourth quarters when trailing, the moment's not too big for him. And that is an important thing. And so there are a lot of really good things Dak Prescott does well. But in the era of the greatest passers in the history of football, which is the era we're in right now, Dak Prescott's not a great passer. And to quote a wise man who once said about Tim Tebow, if throwing the football's important, he's never going to be good. If throwing the football's important, Dak's never going to be great. And so he can be good. He's already good. But the Cowboys, because of the team he plays for, he's elevated to a level, and because of the way the owner talks about him, because they're on TV more than anyone, and because they're the league's most popular team, he is discussed in an almost air I do not think he has deserved. And so with respect to the playmaker, who I really like and respect, and I know is one of your close friends, I think the general public is right and Michael is wrong.
Well, the thing about Michael's trying to present a very, very tough case. I think with Dak, we have to slow down and look at some of the things that you mentioned. Because to me, being able to perform, there's so many players that have the talent. And I was talking to a couple of my buddies who I grew up with, and we were talking about some of the things that make me different than some of the other guys who grew up. And we went to college together, played ball, so they were really good athletes. But they said, Chris, man, when it's time to play, man, you are about it and have always been about it. And Dak, to be able to put that star on his helmet, coming in as a backup, 4th rounder from Mississippi State, and to see how he was thrust into the limelight, forced Tony Romo into retirement, and has not looked back. The one thing that I know that even with my skill level, as long as I've watched football, as many quarterbacks I've worked with, as many quarterbacks I've talked to, I don't think it's fair for anyone right now to say that Dak Prescott, at 25 years old, will never be an elite thrower of the football. At Drew Brees, at this age, no one was saying he was going to be an elite thrower. No one was going to say man, Drew Brees is going to hold almost all the passing records. No, we didn't know that. Because what you don't know in the pros, and there's no draft, there's no test, there's no machine. When you have some type of success, how much is still left in the tank? And that's one of the things. When you get a Nick Saban player, you know it's been tapped into.
Yep.
That player, everything, his potential, Nick has gotten it out, and he only has a little bit of room.
The elevator's at the top of the building already.
Yes, and with Dak, his throwing motion, his arm strength, he doesn't necessarily have the anticipation. But last year when they just added Amari Cooper and they didn't have someone on the other side, they didn't have a competent third receiver, his passer rating went up 14 points. So you tell me after a whole offseason with Amari Cooper, if they add a tight end, maybe with some speed, Michael Gallup, you put Kaep in the slot, he's not going to continue to get better? Now, I don't believe he's a sit-down, come into the room, force multiplier, but I do believe if you put the right pieces around him, I'm going to tell you who he's not. I don't believe he's Andy Dalton. If Andy Dalton was throwing to my man A.J. Green for all them years, I don't believe he's that. I do believe that he is a grade above that.
So I went back and I read all of Michael Irvin's comments just to make sure that we were all on the same page. He places an enormous amount of weight, less on what his actual football acumen is and more on his heart and soul, his leadership skills, his ability to walk into a room and command the room and to command the respect and attention. That's how he likens Dak Prescott to a guy like Tom Brady, which we all scoff and laugh at right off the bat. But he said that those intangibles are actually equally as important as what you can do on the field. How do you feel about that?
I don't think they are equally. I think they are important. I think they are the most important for that position. I think that quarterback's not running back. It's not pass rusher. It is something where what you can do aside from what your combine measurements are going to be, how far you can throw the football, all those things really matter because you do have to be the leader of the team. You do very often have to be the spokesperson of the team. You do have to, in the huddle, you've talked about it, when a quarterback can't get the play out of his mouth because he's so nervous and you got to take over for him. All those things matter more at that spot than any other spot, but talent still wins. And so it's very interesting, the quarterback you mentioned there, because I would like to do a blind reveal. You might have spoiled it a bit, but here's two quarterbacks the first 3 years, if I may, for a second. One of them's Dak Prescott.
Oh, that's why your eye was twitching.
Yeah. So the passing yards per game are very similar. The guy on the right has more touchdowns, but way more interceptions, playoff appearances. It's Andy Dalton's first 3 years. And Andy Dalton made the playoffs every year. Andy Dalton was a good quarterback. Andy Dalton was not going to be the reason you lost football games. But we've now seen Andy Dalton's career. He also was never going to be the reasons you won football games. And so, and Andy Dalton was doing that, by the way, with a running back duo of, I think, Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, and an older Cedric Benson. And so who is Dak Prescott really going to project to be, and who has he been so far on what I would consider a good supporting cast around him, the wide receiving corps last year notwithstanding? I think those are very fair questions and criticisms.
So if all of this is about the fact that he's not a good thrower of the football, but he's got all the other intangibles, how much better can he get at that? Can he turn himself into a great, elite football thrower?
Right. Well, one thing about Dak, it's not that he's a bad thrower of the football. All right? It's just that we're in an era where we have so many guys that can flat out sling it. His throwing motion is good. His anticipation is not an elite level. Him being able to fit a ball into a tight spot, it's not an elite level. He plays the quarterback position very conservatively. But can he grow as a passer?
Yeah.
I do believe that. Anticipation can be taught. The more you could get comfortable with, and the better people you put around him. I believe in this new offense that they're going to run. I believe the first thing we're going to see from a changing standpoint, they're going to do more pre-snap motion. They're going to make the defense move around and give Dak some better looks. So hearing stuff coming out of their training camp, they're trying to do some things as far as motion to build set Dak up for success. So I believe players grow. I didn't make my first Pro Bowl until after 6 seasons. And I know there were plenty of people saying he's not going to get any better than that. And then ultimately, I just kept getting better and better and better. I do believe Dak has that type of talent. I don't believe that he has a limit from a throwing game standpoint. He hasn't been real accurate on his deep passes. I do believe that they'll support him, and they'll be better at that this year because that will be the point of emphasis for the Cowboys and their coaching staff this offseason.
And obviously, you know your career better than I know it, but you showed the elite talent the day you walked into Ohio State. You played in 3 bowl games. You were the MVP.
But it's
of
totally
3
different
bowls.
adapting to the pro game. It's like running in mud and running on a grass track. Yeah, the horse knows how to run, but you need to be able to adapt to be like, what is the best style for me? And I'm playing a team sport. When are they going to put all these other things around me to be able to support me? Yeah, I'd rather have 3 good linemen than 4. Give me another wide receiver. They got Randall Cobb in the slot. He's more of a threat. Maybe they can utilize their fullback, all right? Michael Gallup is a part of that. We saw last year instantly, Amari Cooper comes over, Dak looked like a different quarterback. Will we all agree to that?
100%.
So let's play like that. Let's see that for a little bit. I'd be surprised of what it might look like because after 3/4 of a season, I was impressed of the type of rapport him and Amari came up with.
All right, if Dak's there and Zeke's there and Amari's there, what would that team look like coming up? Are the Cowboys wasting the Super Bowl window because all 3 of them are not all there at the same time? That's still ahead on First Things First. Back here, First Things First, with head coach, let me say all your names here, Eric Mangini. We love having you here.
What's up,
Oh,
Coach?
thanks.
Good to see you.
Am I your favorite guest, Jenna?
By a long
Your
shot.
favorite guest this segment.
By a long shot, this segment, you are the favorite guest. No, we're
What do you
we
mean
love
just
having
this
you here.
segment?
I didn't say that. All you people do is put
didn't
words in
say
my
that.
mouth. We love all our guests, love the show. We're going to start talking some football. That's
Jason
the
ain't
way
putting
we
no
go.
words in your mouth.
No, but that's Jason right over there. Last year, Andrew Luck started all 16 games for the Colts after missing the
Also known
entire
as Mr. Tickles.
2017 season with a shoulder injury. Now he's dealing with a calf injury that's continuing to keep him out of camp. Luck told Peter King, I certainly believe I will be ready. That's certainly the goal. At times I do worry about it. It can be frustrating. Maybe I'm not improving as fast as I want, and missing things is no fun. It eats at you. But I do know at the end of the day, if I'm getting the most out of myself, if I'm being the best I can that day, then that's what I need to do. Coach, what's your level of concern now for Luck? I feel like we asked this a week or 2 ago, and it wasn't that concerning. Has that changed at all?
It has changed. When it first happened, I thought, this is a good idea. He's learned from the shoulder injury. He's learned that you got to give these things time to heal. You've got to take a step back in order to move forward and make a long-term play. But the fact that this has happened in April and that he's gotten 1 training camp practice before he had to sit out again. So what are we, May, June, July, 4, we're talking about 4 months he's able to go through 1 practice, and now he's back out again. And even in his words, it's, I'm absolutely going to be ready.
But I'm scared.
I'm scared, but he had some other term, unless I'm not. It was.
To go to it, because I remember reading this Monday morning when he was first talking about it. Any concern you won't be out there week 1? No. And then a paragraph worth of words of concern. Which is that it's frustrating that what he's gone through, that this did happen back in April. He got the 3 separate MRIs, and they can't quite get it right. And so for a guy like Luck, who the only thing that has stopped him from being the quarterback that we have seen in moments and that we all know his talent level would allow him to be, has been injury, to also, by the way, not be out there when they are. You've talked a lot about the kid from Ohio State, Paris Campbell, and the ability to get young guys involved in this offense, different things they're trying to do. Those practices matter, and obviously his ability to be out there week 1 when they play a very difficult game against the Los Angeles Chargers, who might be the most overall complete team in the AFC, that's a legitimate concern for the Colts and for Luck.
But be fair to Coach Mangini. Coach Mangini said, I am concerned, but the question we posed to him before was, are you concerned about him tearing his Achilles?
Sure.
So that was the question before. It wasn't, are you concerned about his calf? But Coach Mangini brings up a great point. The time makes us concerned because we know that, yeah, in the offseason, you can have guys have surgery. You can see that. They're on the pup. They come back slow. But the guys who have been relatively healthy in the offseason or get injured in the offseason program, you still have a good 2.5, 3 months before training camp where we are right now. To me, the thing that's concerning is I know if I had any one area that had 3 MRIs, I just know the team's not spending the resources on MRIs. I know people think it's silly, but if you get an X-ray, if that will do the job,
that's all they'll do.
They'll stay right there.
Yep.
But you see, oh, I need another MRI. Oh, and I need a third one, and I still haven't improved. So visually, they don't know what the problem is. But there is tremendous discomfort. And now, because it's been so long, this is not a Kevin Durant thing. If you strain your calf, there are some real legitimate problems with it as far as getting it back, especially football players and quarterbacks who play that position because there's so much dropping, there's so much short area quickness that they have to work on that you tear little fibers off the back. So I tore my left one in the 98 season, tore my right one in the 98 season, and always had problems. Besides my shoulder, it's the thing that I have problems with even into my retirement because you get these little modules, you get these little knots in there, and sometimes the scar tissue, it tears away. And you wonder, did I just rip it again? No, it's just the scar tissue breaking itself off the injury.
And you wonder about the medical staff, and you hate to kill any one area, but they got it wrong the last time. And he missed a significant amount the whole season when they got it wrong the last time. So has that changed? Has the staff changed? Has the training staff changed? Or are we just saying, yeah, they're probably right on this. They were wrong on that one, but they're probably right on the process this one. It's like drafting a quarterback in the first round, trading him, and then drafting another quarterback in the first round. Why do we think he's going to be right on the second one if he wasn't right on the first one?
And there's definitely a sense of, haven't we seen this script before? The team's very mysteriously quiet about what the injury actually is and what the treatment is. He sits, he says he wants to go back in, but he's really still sitting, no real timetable. We feel like we've been through all this before with a completely different injury, so I think that speaks to your point. Go ahead.
I just think the fact that it's one practice. He came back for one practice.
Yes.
He didn't come back for a week of practice. It wasn't as he went through the week, he had this soreness. The one practice after all that time off,
and he
couldn't handle it, and he had to shut it down. What makes us think now a couple more weeks or a couple more days is suddenly going to change what
make everything
2 or
better.
3 months didn't do?
To me, I believe it gives a great opportunity for the team because right now, Andrew Luck, we know he's back. And the league is better when he's back to being healthy. But this is a spectacular football team that they have. And it really, now they can put maybe the emphasis on that offensive line. Marlon Mack last season was one of 3 players to average 75 yards a game and have 10 touchdowns. Can he stay healthy? So let's take some of that load off of Andrew. Let's put it on some of those other players. You mentioned Paris Campbell. So, yes, injuries are a part of football, but it also creates opportunities. Because Jacoby Brissett's their backup. So it's not like their practices aren't going well. Jacoby can flat sling it. Now, he's not Andrew Luck, but the ability for these younger players to continue to develop. Eric Ebron is still an emerging young player, Pro Bowl season last year. So they're in a better position now than when Andrew got hurt before, where he forced himself into the lineup. They got better assets around him. So that should relieve some of the pressure. But this is going to be a season, just like Todd Gurley, who's practicing every other We need to watch Andrew Luck and watch and see how he progresses.
You like this team, though.
Oh, I really like this team, and with luck, I think they could potentially be the Super Bowl representative out of the AFC.
Yes.
I also think Jacoby Brissett is on the short list of maybe best backup quarterbacks we have in the NFL. One of the backup quarterbacks who I think one day can be a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's right. 2 years ago, I think it was, Bill Parcells was on speakerphone talking to you, and I kind of eavesdropped hearing how much.
We do kind of that.
Yeah, Coach Parcells was talking up Jacoby, and then we saw him, even though they didn't have a good record, acquit himself very well the year he had to, when he was traded over from New England and pressed into service there. The concern, though, for me, for the Colts is, of course, they can't be the team they would be with Luck without him, but also those highlights we were just running, Luck obviously can drop straight back in the pocket and deliver a strike, but so many of his plays, he's moving. He's moving in the pocket. He's running, keeping his eyes downfield while rolling out to one direction, or right there. And that is, I mean, if you got an injured Achilles, you're not going to be, or I'm sorry, an injured calf, you're not going to be able to do those types of things that are one of the things that make him so special.
The reason why Aaron Rodgers didn't have a good season last year, he got dinged in that first game.
Knee injury.
And when you come out of training camp, to me, there's always, I like to measure where I am. My most successful training camps are the ones where I have been consistent day after day. And even though my legs might start the season be a little healthy, I know they're going to recover in a short period of time once we start doing those one-a-days, and I know I'm ready for a November run. When you come out of camp and you still have all these questions, I haven't pushed myself. And I'm going to tell you guys, Andrew Luck, it's underrated what kind of athlete he is. Yes. And if he gets in that pocket, he will move. There's not 7 better athletes at the position than Andrew Luck. So the calf, it is something I'd be more concerned about with Luck compared to Brady or Breeze, because I know they're going to stay in the pocket.
All right, we got to take a break. Coach, stick around. Coming up, talk some Cowboys. Could Zeke's holdout slam Dallas' Super Bowl window shut? That's next on First Things First. Back here with Coach Mangini. We are going viral. Sponsored by Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Yesterday, Saquon Barkley showed off his throwing accuracy, but he should have quit while he was ahead. Following it up with a Patrick Mahomes-style no-look throw that completely misses.
Oh, and he hit the coach?
Hits a coach.
Oh.
Yeah, definitely not a coach there. Someone with the medical staff or somebody on the equipment staff. I can tell by the shirt, the way it's tucked in, everything. He's got one of them safety belts on it, like he's going to Times Square or something, buying a souvenir. No, not a coach there. Part of the staff, though. Yeah, all of them are very, very valuable, but some people, they're worth hitting.
How many times did it take him to get that first one in? Like, we saw the video of that, but that's probably like number 20. It's like,
Coach
oh, my
and I
God.
they do these little dumb contests all the time.
Every day.
You guys think every day they're doing something stupid.
Hey,
man, I can hit this pole. There's a reason why you're getting in a three-point stance, fat boy. All right?
I can get the ball in the garbage can. I can hit the crossbar. I can. It's like,
all the players from other positions come over and do the drills at your position. Offensive linemen, they want to, hey, see, let me run a route. No, fat boy. Go upstairs to the cafeteria. Get beefed up for what you got to do. I don't need to see your fancy footwork. Everyone's trying to be what they aren't. The kickers are out there trying to, I'm going to be a defensive lineman. Stop it, man. You know you don't want that kind of fire in your life. You know you don't want it.
unless you're jousting. That's another thing that some people do.
Oh, my God. These guys
Like
are just
joust.
so anti-fun. My God.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
Talk some Cowboys. Coach, it's been 12 days since the Cowboys opened up training camp. Still no Ezekiel Elliott, who remains in Mexico while the team prepares for Saturday's preseason opener. Yesterday, in yet another interview, Cowboys Executive Vice President Stephen Jones said the team, quote, very rarely speaks with Zeke's representatives. So, Coach, are the Cowboys potentially wasting this Super Bowl window with the way they're dealing with Zeke's contract situation?
No, not at all. What do they need to talk to his reps about? Typically,
Moving the conversation
I give you an offer, you counter the offer. If you don't counter the offer, I'm going to negotiate against myself. Why would I do that? So they've presented him with something that they feel is viable and fair, and then the other side has to come back and say, okay, we like this, but give us X, Y, and Z, and that's part of negotiation. So to just sit there and say we're not going to look at this and we're not going to give you anything back, I don't see how the Cowboys can rush back in without killing, whatever leverage they do have.
Well, whatever the negotiating strategy is, like, I almost want to put that in a separate bucket to, if Zeke's not out there, are they squandering the season? And if Zeke's, to me, if Zeke's not out there, they go from a team that wouldn't be a Super Bowl favorite, but you would have to include on the list of 8 to 10 teams of most viable Super Bowl contenders to a team that I believe would be very hard-pressed to make the playoffs this year. Now, you can argue the 2019 season is not intrinsically more valuable than any season in the future.
That's my opinion, Coach.
Right.
This is a young team, too. This isn't an old team by any stretch. It's one of the youngest teams in the NFL.
It's a young team that's about to become a very expensive team because they've drafted so well and because they already paid their 3 offensive linemen who are all under contract for the future seasons, $12 to $15 million. They just paid DeMarcus Lawrence. They obviously want to pay Dak. We think they want to pay Amari Cooper. And so some of that talent after this season, the argument for 2019 having more value than a future year is because, A, what you know about your roster. They're
not the Super Bowl favorite.
No, they're not.
You know, if they were the Super Bowl favorite and Zeke was holding out and everything, like when Emmett was there.
93 Cowboys coming off.
They had an established team now. I mean, we knew what they could do. This team is a lot of hope, a lot of this. Like, there's still certain things. And even if everybody's healthy with the Cowboys, I can pick 3 teams in the NFC that I would pick as Super Bowl. So as far as I'm going all in, see, I totally disagree with you on that. And everyone's got the same salary cap. We act like Dallas got problems other teams don't have. No, they got the same problems. The pie is this big. How are we going to slice it up? All right? And now there's a sliver left, about this much, and they trying to divvy up how many different ways. Are we going to franchise Amari? Dak is going to get a contract. That I can guarantee you. The first game will not take place without Dak Prescott having a contract extension. All right? That's their priority. Zeke, they're too far apart. If Dallas really believes that Le'Veon Bell reset the running back market and Zeke was saying that I'm getting ready to get more than Todd Gurley,
they're too far apart.
They're $3 million, $4 million apart. And I just don't believe I'm not throwing away my football team that I've made good decisions in drafting these players to handicap myself for the next 2 to 3 years because he wants a contract. No, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Do I believe that he would warrant one? Not as a priority, but if Dallas, if they get done with Dak, if they get Amari signed and they make some things with their defensive players, I could see him. Yeah, he is the best player, but he's also already got a contract that none of the other, twice as long as the other players have.
And when you look at it, you'd like to think that if you're going to pay your quarterback what they're going to pay him, that he is the reason that they're the Super Bowl contender. And I think
he's not.
I think Dallas should take a step back and say, okay, go ahead, Dak, play into the season. Let's see how it goes, and we'll reevaluate. But I agree with Chris. I don't think that's the way they're going to go. I think they're going to try to get him done. And look, with Zeke, he's in the 3rd year of a 5-year contract because they've got the 5th year.
He's going into the 4th year.
Yes. But he's completed 3 years, a 5-year contract. He's got 2 years left.
I don't care. Coach Mangini ain't giving him. He don't care if he's Gale Sayers. He don't care if he's Jim Brown, Gale Sayers, Barry Sanders. How long you got left?
2 years?
We'll visit. Okay. We'll visit this next year as a bonus.
And he's missed time. He's missed time, and then there's been other off-the-field issues. It's not like this has been a clean tenure there, and the Cowboys have been supportive throughout that process. There's got to be give and take. And he gets paid at a very good rate right now because of where he was drafted. The thing that players forget, and this comes in all the time, is signing bonus, which is prorated over the years.
Oh, no, Coach, we can't look at that.
Yeah, no.
That doesn't you got to look at my average year salary, Coach.
That $4 million that he got up front.
No.
So what Coach is talking about, because Zeke, where he was drafted, he got a huge chunk of money before he ever played an NFL game.
Yeah, like $16 million.
Right, but that is and so that doesn't, while that counts against their cap prorated, his actual annual salary, that's not built into it. So when he's looking at what he's making this year, Coach's argument would be,
well, then let's look at what he made year one when he was dramatically overpaid at $18 million.
Right, because if you include
give us some benefit.
No, they forgot that.
Right.
They forgot that.
I want to bring up Amari just for a second here, because I understand wide receivers are paid on a different scale than running backs. That's been proven. It's clearly true. There's 50 wide receivers making more than every running back in the league except for like 5 guys. We get that wide receivers are valued in a way where Jamison Crowder can make $8.5 million a year, and there's not a half dozen running backs making that. I get that. But I think everyone at the table agrees Zeke is more valuable to the Cowboys than Amari. Obviously, that Zeke would, whatever offer they're making Amari Cooper, or they would make Amari Cooper, Zeke would take in a heartbeat. When it comes to the Cowboys winning, when it comes to this specific team, how does it make sense that they are fine with paying Amari Cooper, call it $18 million per year, but they are blanching at paying Zeke $14 million per year? When we know for this team, Zeke provides more value. For this team, Zeke is the best player. For this team, Zeke is the one that helps the quarterback more than the wide receiver. We all talked about that yesterday. But the Cowboys are going to pay Amari Cooper a contract that Zeke would kill for and would show up for. And they could probably offer Zeke 75% of the contract that Amari's going to end up signing for. Do you follow what I get that.
Yeah. Who makes the most money on the Rams, man?
Who makes Aaron Donald?
And then who else?
Aaron Donald, then Brandon Cooks.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
More than Todd Gurley.
Oh, okay. Yes. It's the price of doing business, man. All right, if you're in the apple business and we selling apples, what do they cost? A nice red apple, nice receiver, Pro Bowler, it's going to cost you 17 to 20 million, Nick, because you're in the fruit business. Now, if you want to go over here and sell trees, all right, those are running backs, man. They're interchangeable. You can get them off the street. That's the reason why. Yeah, the people that value the game, they value the wide receivers more, and it's not because I played it. No, I'm looking at the business.
You're totally correct, and I think in general, that is the correct way to value it. The point I'm making is, if you're the Cowboys and you were to say, we can only have one of these guys, Zeke's better and more important, and yet they are going to carve out of that pie a much greater piece for Amari based on, well, the market has dictated wide receiver
Nick,
makes
one thing you're not putting in there. Amari's got great character.
Sure.
Amari said, I'm patient. I'm willing to wait.
Problem.
I ain't never been to the principal's office but to give him an apple to tell him, you're doing a good job.
And look, if that apple costs $1, even though it's my favorite fruit, I'm not going to be like, oh, take $5. Here you go. Can I overpay for this? I love apples.
Yep.
Why? And we should go shopping together.
No, well, Coach, we'll see you a little bit later on the show. Nick's got some more questions that he'll ask in the commercial break. Coming up, Colin Kaepernick says he's still ready to make his return to the field. It's next on First Things First.
I'm more valuable to you. They pay you more money than me. Like, what's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know if any of those things are true.
Welcome back. We'll get to Colin Kaepernick in just a second. But first, USA Basketball, Utah's Donovan Mitchell starts the break, gives it up to Kemba Walker. Back to Donovan.
Utah this year has a potentially outstanding starting five.
Yeah, you like their team.
Well, they just have balance everywhere. Question is, can Donovan take a leap?
I got recruited from UNLV, man. I wanted to go there, but I didn't have enough of a criminal record at that time.
Oh, come on.
Wow. That would come later on.
Texas, Cleveland, MLB action. Oscar Mercado making the diving catch to end the game and get the win for the Tribe.
There we go. Baseball players. I ran into one last night, Jenna. Derek Jeter, there in Philadelphia. He says, what's up? Don't have nothing to do with that catch, but Derek Jeter hollered at Jenna last night. What up, Jenna?
What? How you doing? That's what I would say back. A little Bears camp action. David Montgomery. Man, he's tough to take down.
All right, so see, this is the thump portion of practice, correct? You can hit, but you can't take them down. Yeah. Now he's out here making defenders look bad.
So the defenders are at a disadvantage because they can't run through the running back. You can see he catches the running back, so the running back delivers a blow to him. Defenders hate when the drill is thud like that because they were like, man, I would have run through you. You wouldn't have knocked me back like that.
Rothy's are the everyday flats for life on the go. They're stylish, comfortable, and they go with everything from yoga pants to dresses and skirts. They've quickly become a must-loved, gotta-have-them brand thanks to their wide range of colors and patterns, with new ones launching constantly. And there's a zero break-in period. Since Rothy's are crafted using 3D knitting techniques and hand assembly, their seamless design means right out of the box comfort. Best of all, they're made from recycled plastic water bottles. That's right. Over 25 million water bottles have been diverted from landfills to make these gorgeous and sustainable shoes. Another major bonus, they're fully machine washable, so your pair will be fresh and ready every laundry day. Plus, Rothy's always come with free shipping and free returns and exchanges. There is no risk and no reason not to try. You'll quickly discover why BuzzFeed called them their forever shoes. Check out all the amazing styles available right now at rothys.com/cadence. Comfort, style, sustainability, these are the shoes you've been waiting for. Head to rothys.com. That's rothys.com/cadence today. Moving on now, it's been 3 seasons since Colin Kaepernick last played in the NFL. We haven't seen much of him of late. Yesterday, he had a message he wanted to share.
5 a.m., 5 days a week, for 3 years, still ready.
Nick, what'd you think of the video?
Made me think of a lunch Cris and I had it was a year ago, almost to the day. It was into August last year, where we sat down with Colin, and Colin asked Cris, it was really sad, actually. Colin asked Cris, do you think I'm going to get back in the league? And Cris, and no one's ever accused him of not being honest, even when maybe I would think he shouldn't be, looked at me and I said, nah, man, I think it's over. We didn't think it was fair, but think it's over. And man, that is not what Colin expected to hear. Slumped down in the seat a bit and then continued to talk. And listen, Colin Kaepernick was blackballed by the NFL. Some people are fine with it, some people aren't fine with it. I'm not fine with it. He has continued to train as if that blackballing has an expiration date. It does not. Now, I look around the league and I say, if this offseason, there are teams that if they had signed, even having missed this much football, if they had signed Colin Kaepernick, if the New York Giants this offseason said, you know what, we're not trading Odell, we're keeping Odell, we're using that 6th pick on one of those awesome Clemson defensive linemen, we've got Saquon, Eli retired, and we've signed Colin Kaepernick. Would you be more optimistic about the Giants this year under that circumstance than under the one they are now? The Broncos, if instead of signing Joe Flacco, they had signed Colin Kaepernick, as once upon a time they wanted to, would you be more optimistic about their chances than you are now? The Ravens, even though Lamar, I think, one day might be a really good quarterback, it's not yet, would you be more optimistic about them with that defense, that running game, with Cap? I would be. But he's not going to get back in the league. The blackballing's approaching 900 days, and I respect his work ethic, but at this point, it's just for his own personal mental health, if you will, to know that he could, if he got the call, to not worry, what if I do get the call, I'm not going to be ready. But it's not going to help him play football because he's not going to get the opportunity to play football.
Well, I continue to talk to Cap, and I talked to Cap about a week and a half ago, and I requested a video because I asked him how he's doing, how his workouts and stuff are going, how his stuff socially is going. He's involved with a number of different programs, doing some exciting stuff. How's the football part going? Are you keeping up? No, he said, I'm keeping it up. I'm working on it. All right, I said, send me some video. So yesterday, him and his girlfriend, they sent this out to me. And then I saw it was released publicly. So I'm glad that he's able to continue to work out. Because I did. I flat looked at him and told him I thought his NFL career was over. I thought when he went down that road, based on the ownership of these teams, even if they do change a team or two, it's still in the same family. Still the same mentality. So for me, the NFL, one of my big problems with Cap not playing before was they always advertise it's the 1,800 best players in the world. And we know that it's not. He's a perfect backup to, even if you just think he's a dual threat. Lamar Jackson,
sure.
He can't mentor him in Baltimore with that defense they have. You can duplicate the style for which you can play, which is very, very rare. Oh, RG3 can do it because he's not taking a knee. But Cap can't do it. So for me, I like to see that he's working out. Now, the hardest thing to be able to do as a quarterback is to be able to gather up some wide receivers and run some routes and things like that. I think that video is far more telling because we know he's an athletic freak. Dude is 6'5", 6'6", and is ripped. I know that. Yeah, you go to the gym. I can go down to the local gym and see a bunch of muscle heads that are ripped up. But throwing the football, I think that's really the only way. How can he gather up some skilled guys, quarterbacks with wide receivers, and throwing the ball, repetitive, throwing it down the field so people see, man, even his throwing motions tightened up a little bit. Those are the things that I do believe would still keep that window open, because this is a crazy business, man. And you only need one person just to give him a look. One of the big problems is no one has even brought him in for a workout. I mean, they're bringing these guys in. I've seen this for years, man. They bring in a guy, they put him in some shorts and let him work out. I'm like, there's no chance this guy's an NFL player. Colin is definitely an NFL player who they have decided his stance on social justice is totally against the product that they want to put out there. So that's why he's in the dilemma. And I still say this. I do not believe he'll ever play in the NFL because of the attitude of the 32 owners. Does he deserve to play? If everyone else deserves a right to play, he deserves a right to play.
And listen, he's always now, and I don't know if it helps him come to peace with this. I hope it does. And I interact with Kaep some, not as often as you do, but I think he knows this. He will always have a legacy greater than his playing career. He was an enormous part of what I would call the modern era athlete awakening to their role, not only in their communities, but their role on the national stage to help set the conversation. And when people, to this day, if one of those awful videos circulates Twitter of some instance of horrible police brutality, what is very often captioned with is, "This is why we kneel." That is a testament to Colin Kaepernick and the movement that he helped reinvigorate in this country, and really that he staked his career on. It is, when you do something like this, it is always a risk. Once upon a time, it was a risk of assassination. It's always been a risk of your own personal profit or your own personal career or your public in your stature in the public eye for a lot of people. It's not fair that you have to risk that, and it's not fair that sometimes the penalty is that, but that's what it was for Kaep, and now he will have a legacy greater than that of quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. It's just a shame he could have had both. In a more just world, he would have been able to have both.
That being said, do you think he has any regrets? Knowing how much he does want to play football again, but also knowing how much of a difference he has made as a result of him now not obviously being able to play football.
That right there, it's hard to impossible for me, Jenna. It's a great question. But for me, every dream I ever had was doing something competitive. My dream was being a professional athlete. I want to try to influence kids to pursue that dream. I believe it's very, very important. I love sports. So to me, it wasn't in my heart of hearts. What Kaep is doing, it didn't mean the same thing to me. I didn't have that type of opportunity. So only Kaep can judge that. Only Kaep and what he does moving forward can be the judge of that. Because for me, I know in his world, he's doing a lot of things to make changes. But as an African-American, when I drive, I'm still scared. I still have the same fears. I still see the same videos. The people, my brothers and sisters, meaning my little biological brothers and sisters in the neighborhoods they're in, they're still scared. So what did we win? I'd have to pose that question that only he can answer. Was it really worth it? Was it needed? Hell yes. But was it worth it? Only Kaep can answer that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Much more First Things First right after this. Time for stories to start your morning. We're getting more details about Antonio Brown's foot injury. Turns out he's sidelined with frostbitten feet.
Oh.
This was reportedly caused by a cryotherapy session. They tell you to wear socks. He obviously did not wear socks. You frostbite your feet. See, have you ever seen or heard of something like this happening to a player before?
Yeah, we're a bunch of idiots and everything. We do dumb stuff, disregard. Don't get in hot tub without what we're going to do it. Oh, disregard what the rules are. Yes, I burned my hamstring with the ice bag on it. Said don't leave it on there more than 15 minutes.
What'd
20
you do?
at max. Left it on there, fell asleep. A little nerve went down my right leg. My foot almost went numb and everything, but I burned my skin. So you look at when I'm laying down, face down, left hamstring, like a mocha chocolate. Man,
Yeah.
the right one is definitely double dip chocolate.
I don't even know
Jenna,
what to say.
why are you wearing that Band-Aid today and yesterday?
There's a difference.
Jenna,
Okay,
Jenna,
there's a
who's been judging AB all morning, was trying to do a 1-mile bear crawl. Wasn't wearing.
Say that again, man.
Jenna, who's been judging Antonio Brown all morning, but Jenna fashions herself professional workout warrior. She even gets paid money to train people.
Now, Nick,
was not wearing the proper equipment.
Can you do 5 yards of bear crawl?
Of course, but I would wear the proper equipment. Jenna was trying to do a mile. She cut up her whole hand.
But they told me to wear gloves, and I wore gloves.
Okay, Jenna, of course, I'm sure it's not your fault, just like it wasn't AB's fault. But
Wear
the point
socks,
is,
man.
sometimes guys, in trying to get better, they wear the wrong equipment.
We're
They
going to
don't
put
wear
you
the
in one
right
of them
equipment.
cryo tanks with your mouth open.
Not interested.
I would love to do that, Trey. 15th overall pick
Ball
in
head
former
Nick, too. Not Nick with the
Ohio
with the,
State
with the
quarterback
locks. Whoop, 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 up
Dwayne
top.
Haskins will see his first live NFL game action tonight when Washington faces off against the Browns. See, what do you want to see out of Dwayne Haskins?
What you don't want to see, Jenna, is the question, and that's interceptions. That's taking too long to deliver the ball in the pocket. Even if he doesn't complete above 50% of his passes, you want to see the mechanics. Does he understand the offense? Does the offense run like a professional quarterback is running it? Because Case is his backup. Colt McCoy's his backup. I'm sure he's been schooled because these guys know they're just a place marker until he's ready. So don't make the big mistakes trying to make big plays. Get the team in and out of the huddle. 3-step drop. Get it out your hand. 5-step drop. Get it out your hand. Don't get sacked, bruh. Make the Buckeyes proud. Let's go.
There's only a few teams where, from a viewership perspective, the preseason's really interesting to me. And those are teams that have quarterback battles or young quarterbacks. So I want to watch Washington. I want to watch Miami. Obviously, Arizona, the Giants.
Yeah, gotta see it.
Places where we're going to see, can Haskins play well enough over this next month that he is the week 1 starter, or is he going to have to wait until the 2nd or 3rd month of the season to get in there? His journey towards that starting job starts tonight.
All right, on to the NBA now. So we haven't heard too much from Kevin Durant since he walked off the court in Game 5 of the Finals with a torn Achilles. Since then, he signed with the Nets and has begun his rehab. Yesterday, in an interview with Chris Haynes, KD was asked if the Warriors were to blame for his injury. Said, hell no, how can you blame the Warriors? No, I heard the Warriors pressured me into getting back. Nobody never said a word to me during rehab as I was coming back. It is basketball. Expletive happens. Nobody was responsible for it. It was just the game. We just need to move on from that expletive because I'm going to be back playing. Nick, what do you think about what KD had to say?
I want to give Kevin Durant credit for taking the high road, for not rehashing old stuff. If he had given a different answer, it would have started a totally different news cycle that he would have had to answer for the next time he spoke to the media.
Absolutely.
And maybe repeatedly. And so I think he did the smart thing here. And I think it was the right thing by an organization that for 3 years, for the better part of 3 years, tried to always do the right thing by Kevin Durant. Now, I do not believe him. I do not think this is the honest answer. And in fact, I know he was pressured when the owner says during the Western Conference Finals he'll be back for the NBA Finals.
Maybe Kevin Durant looks at it as if it wasn't pressure, because maybe Kevin Durant, his goal was the same, and maybe the information that the owner was talking about, Kevin doesn't feel like it pressured him.
Okay.
Like maybe Kevin thought Game 5 was always the game he was going to come back.
Well, he said that Game 5 was the game I was always going to come back. But then Steve Kerr and the injury report, they left the door open him coming back in Game 2, and then it was released by somebody to reliable reporters, I think Chris Haynes, they expect him back in Game 3. KD says, I was always targeting Game 5. But throughout this interview, and credit to Chris Haynes, who's done a great job covering this league over the last few years, but particularly this year, for getting a sit-down at Kevin Durant's house in Malibu to get this. But KD also said he didn't make his decision to go to the Nets until the morning of June 30th. That he and Kyrie Irving had not discussed playing together, that it was, yeah, they're friends and it's a happy coincidence. There are a lot of things said in this article that I do not believe to be the accurate history, but I am not criticizing Kevin Durant for presenting it. And when it comes to the injury front, I think it was the smart move to not worry about something you can't fix in the past.
Yeah, the thing that I have and the issue that I have was the information that I was gathering. A person that's tore both of his calves. A person that knew it was on the board. If I didn't get it cleared up, if I didn't get that calf cleaned up, that my Achilles would be jeopardized. So for me, I don't have a problem with Kevin Durant playing. I don't have a problem with an athlete pushing himself. My biggest problem happens to be with the information. Golden State said he was not jeopardizing his Achilles by going out there and playing on a pulled calf. And that was not the truth. Obviously, he goes into the game and gets hurt early in the game. So the information that they were moving forward with, there was better information. So I can understand Kevin saying, I would have pushed myself regardless, knowing that it was going to be the finals and everything. I can understand that. I expect him to do that. I would have done that. And afterwards, I would be doing the same thing with Kevin Durant. I would be saying the same thing. Just because the owner said Kevin Durant will be coming back does not mean that Kevin Durant felt the pressure. Now, do I accept what the owner did? No, because there was a better way to do it. He didn't have to say that. And the information with the coaching staff saying that they weren't jeopardizing his Achilles and continuing staying to that messaging point, I know that that wasn't accurate. But a great athlete, an average athlete, any athlete at that level is going to try to come back and push themselves to get on the court.
All right, so let's spin this forward now to next season, whether or not we see KD, who knows. When we do actually see the return of Kevin Durant on the basketball court, which version of him are we going to see? Is it going to be the same one, do we think, that we last saw?
Sorry to interrupt. It'll be a version we've never seen before. Now, it doesn't mean he won't be a great player. It doesn't mean he won't one day once again be an MVP candidate. But if we see him at all this year, and in this article he's asked about it, and he says, I don't know, like I'm working essentially, gives, I think, the right answer on that. This year, we're not going to see anything close to old Kevin Durant. And I would imagine the following season, we're not going to. The last time we saw Kevin Durant, he was giving you, what was it, 41, 7-7 over the last 6 games of the playoffs?
Yeah, but that's in the playoffs. What the intensity they're going to play at in the regular season. Will we see the Kevin Durant that played in the regular season?
Yeah, so
I think it's a fair question.
I don't think he is. He was right there to become the best player in basketball. I think now the mountain he has to climb is, can I be a top 5 player? I think that is, and I don't think that's an indictment on him, but this is, aside from a spinal cord injury, this is the worst injury a basketball player can suffer, even in 2019.
If you're trying to rely on your athletic ability. I totally disagree with Nick. And the reason why, modern technology, I talked to my doctor. My doctor said there is no reason Kevin Durant in 6 months, 6.5 months, won't be 100%. And the reason why I don't believe it, not only the technology, not only the stretching and the way they get the athletes up and moving them a lot quicker now, there's been no athlete, there's been no basketball player that is a pure basketball player as Kevin Durant. You can't compare him to Dominique Wilkins. You can't compare him to Rudy Gay. You can't compare him to Kobe Bryant. He's a better scorer of basketball than Kobe. Yeah, Kobe, his Achilles was going to hurt him the way he played offense. The way he went at it recklessly, it's going to hurt him. But as a jump shooter, as a scoring machine, his Achilles and being tightening of that Achilles, to me, is not going to limit him. And I do believe we will see a version of Kevin Durant that we are very familiar with and used to seeing. I do believe he will be a top player again, based on the medical, based on how he plays the game. And we've never had a jump shooting guy like him injure his Achilles.
Right.
His Achilles injury doesn't affect his ability to shoot it. And him being at 7 foot, he can still shoot over top of a guy's head. So I believe the Kevin Durant that we're going to see, the basketball world, is one they're going to be very familiar with.
You just made a lot of Brooklyn Nets fans very happy. Take a break. Big night for Kyler Murray tonight. What should we look for from him in his NFL preseason debut? That's next on First Things First. We're back here with Coach Mangini. All eyes tonight will be on #1 overall pick Kyler Murray. The Cardinals quarterback getting ready for his NFL debut against the Chargers. If you got the urge to throw some money around, Nick, Coach Mangini, Cardinals are favored by 2.5 points. Ooh. Knock yourselves out. Here's what Kyler had to say about playing tonight.
Everybody's got, nerves to go out and play. Anxious to get out there. It's the first game. You get drafted. You go out there and play, and you don't want to do bad. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a football game. When we get out there, it's going to be just like how it always has been. And I'm looking forward to having fun.
I'm sure he'll be more amped than nervous. I mean, he's a guy. He's a competitor, and he gets the butterflies just like everybody else. But you know, he loves when the lights are on.
All right, Coach, what are you looking for tonight from Kyler Murray? How do you get this kid to do exactly what you want him to do in a calm state out there?
Well, I don't think he's going to play very long. I think it's going to be one series. If it's a good series, they'll probably get him out after that. If it's not a very good series and they go 3 and out, he may play a second series. So you're not going to see a lot of him. And what you're looking for from the young guys is how the process works, how the procedure works. Are there false start penalties? Are there delay of game penalties? What are the huddle mechanics like? Shifts, motions, if they have any of that. If they're going hurry up or up tempo, how well does he operate that? I remember when Kellen Clemens got in his first action, or Colt McCoy, those young guys, they sometimes seem over-caffeinated. They're so anxious to get to the next step that they're missing steps or they're overlooking things. So you want to see that sense of calm, see the general overall operation. I don't think you're going to get much of his ability, and everything is going to be scripted for success. As much as they can possibly give him a chance to be successful, they're going to do every single thing they can because they want the rest of the team to believe in him. They want the fan base to believe in him. They want him to get some confidence, and then they'll move into game 2, and he'll get a little more burn.
One thing coaches always talk about is we want to be able to send a message to our fan base into the NFL. We've been practicing. So I want the things. I want to look like a pro team. So the mechanics of the game, that's what the coach, not necessarily assignment or did you perform the job, but do you look like a pro team? Does he look like an NFL quarterback? In and out of the huddle? Does he let the play clock run down? Is he getting the motions on time? Those are the types of things in the first game. But as far as moving forward, what we're going to see from this offense and from Kyler, to me, it has to be a different version of what they ran in college as far as the air raid offense. A lot of that is sideline to sideline. In college, the hash marks are so much wider. A lot of people don't realize how much. In college, they're 40 feet apart, so you're playing on the field. The ball could be on this hash, and you can run to all this field. In the NFL, they're only 18 feet apart, 6 inches. So the ball's in the middle of the field. The ball's either on this hash or on this hash. You're always in the middle, so you can't outflank people. You can't outrun them to the sideline. In the NFL, they're too quick. There's too many good pass rushers. They penetrate the line of scrimmage. So, to me, how does this offense adjust? And what are they going to do for Kyler to help him be successful in this new NFL where every college offense that has come to the NFL defenses have destroyed it? Now, it took them a little time to figure out the old Wildcat, but they chewed that one up, threw that one back to college. Now we very seldom are able to see that. So, for me, I want to see how they move forward, how the coach, how the quarterback, and this system, how that marriage works out in the difficult NFL.
It's like Chip Kelly's offense that came in for a little while, and then he got sent back to college. So, yeah, there's an element of that. I'm also curious to see how Cliff Kingsbury does. He's talking about Kyler Murray. And now, I mean, this is Cliff's first game, too.
So I'm glad you went there, because it's almost impossible with this team to talk about Kyler without talking about Cliff, because they are married together. Cliff was hired to coach Kyler Murray. All the rumors before the draft that, they hired him because they have the #1 pick, they ended up being 100% correct. You mentioned Kyler's only going to have one series. Cliff going to be calling plays the whole game. Cliff's going to be out there the whole game. What are you most interested in seeing from him, Cris? Because you said something really interesting earlier, which was they've been really cagey about what they're actually going to be running in the games.
When you watch any video of Cardinals practices right now, you cannot tell what system they're running. Very few plays are run on video, so they don't want that information sent out to the rest of the league, so they maintain.
But that also means in the preseason they're probably not going to be running exactly, or certainly not exactly, but maybe something not that similar to what they're going to run in the regular season.
That's the conundrum.
Right, which I understand from a strategy perspective, but from get effective practice perspective, it seems like it could work against you. Like, we're going to be running concepts that we're not actually going to be leaning on during the regular season. So that's a part of it that I imagine you, as a coach, are really interested in seeing what Cliff's going to do and how they try to meld what they want to do in week 1 against Detroit or week 2 against Baltimore with what they're going to do the first part of the preseason.
But Cliff talked about a month ago how they're going to be no huddle and up temp. I mean, he's basically said what they're going to do those early weeks, 2 months ago. So I imagine what he said then isn't probably going to change, even though they won't do it in the preseason. But this is like a soft opening of a restaurant in the first week. Everything has to be worked out. Pre-game warm-ups, travel to the stadium, pre-game meals, operation on the sideline, communication between the booth and the sideline, whoever's the signal caller for the offense and defense, getting those plays in. All that stuff doesn't operate the way you want it to operate in this first preseason game. I'll be interested to just see the general mechanics of the Cardinals, not just at quarterback, but overall, how well are they run?
And then what do you say to a young quarterback going out there? I mean, besides, this is what it is. You're only going to be there for a little bit. We want you to succeed. I mean, what do you really want to make sure you instill in them before they go out there and they take their first snap?
Well, he said it in his interview. It is what he's been doing his whole life, and it is in a different uniform, and it is at the highest level. But at the end of the day, the things that he's done really well over the course of his life are the same things we want him to do in pro football. He'll get used to the nuances. He'll grow, but just be that guy. Don't try to force things because you're the #1 draft pick. Don't try to be somebody you aren't because of where you were drafted. Just be who you are because that's why you were drafted there.
Thank you for listening to the First Things First podcast. Remember, leave us a review and tell us what you think. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and catch us on FS1 Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern. For Cris Carter and Nick Wright, I'm Jenna Wolfe. So long, everybody.